Hello and welcome to Unwind Sessions, where right after my shift I give the highlights of my workday and answer any questions that might have been asked at a previous session. My name is Juan. I am an English Spanish medical video remote consecutive interpreter with over 4 years of experience. Today is Thursday, May 20th, 2021. Today I took a total of 29 sessions, and like always, it was a mix between video sessions and just regular old phone sessions. And like always, it was more video sessions than the audio sessions, which, like you already know, and I mentioned before, they, when I get a lot of video sessions, it actually kills my back because I have to be sitting up straight in the chair and looking directly at the camera, just as I am right now. There were some highlights today. There was only one though that might help you. The other ones, I'm just gonna tell you about them because they were pretty funny. They were out of the ordinary. So I am going to get right into it. The first highlight of the day that happened was that it was a lady that she was in labor, and they were asking her if she was going to need any pain relief for birth, right? If she was going to need an epidural, or if she was going to just want IV medication, or if she was just going to go natural. And I did tell her that, and then they asked her what she wanted, and then the lady said she wanted the pill, la píldora, she said. And well, of course, I said la píldora, and then they told her that, well, first of all, if you don't speak Spanish, píldora means pill. So the lady was telling me that she wanted the pill, and of course she told the doctor and then the provider, and the providers of course said that there was no pill for this. It was either IV or epidural. And the lady told me that she wanted la píldora. She said la píldora. And of course, after telling her that there was no pill, I asked her again, and it turns out she wasn't saying píldora, she was saying epíldora, like epidural, but not epidural is actually epidural. So she wasn't saying epidural, she was saying epíldora. I believe that's what she understood. And of course, when I heard her say epíldora, I already knew what she was talking about, and I went ahead and let the provider know. I didn't let the provider know she was saying it wrong. I just let the provider know that she wanted the epidural. And then the provider went ahead and explained the epidural, and she said, okay. And that was that. And for the next session, I have to say, it's always nice to have this type of sessions like the one I had, because it was just a very fun session. And the nurse, the breastfeeding nurse or the breastfeeding consultant or counselor, she was a very nice lady. She was an elderly lady, and she was quite funny, quite lively, and I really loved interpreting for her. And let me explain why. First of all, when I came in, the lady was talking to the patient, and she let her know if she wanted to get help in breastfeeding. And of course, the lady said yes. And then the nurse turned over to me, and then she said, "Okay, Juan, I'm gonna go ahead, and then I'm going to turn you over to a wall because I don't want you getting a free shot, if you catch my drift." So of course that was very funny, and she made me laugh, and I told her, of course, I understand. And then she turned me over to the wall so I couldn't see the patient breastfeeding. And then they were talking and then about how much to feed the baby. And she said, oh, okay, well, since the baby has just been born, you do not need to feed the baby that much because the baby was already hooked up to a buffet called the umbilical cord when before she was born. So of course that made me laugh as well, and it made everybody in the room laugh. And another thing, when she was breastfeeding, she said, remember, whenever you need to breastfeed, you need to give Thanksgiving dinner and for one breast, and then Thanksgiving dinner for no you need to give Thanksgiving dinner for, and then she said that was one breast, 10 to 15 minutes, and then you need to give dessert. The other breast, 10 to 15 minutes. So one breast was Thanksgiving dinner, and the other breast was dessert. So that was pretty funny. And the last thing that made me laugh was that at the end of the session, she actually told me, "Okay, Juan, that's it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this translation, and now you are going to be a master breastfeeder. So now you can teach anyone how to breastfeed." So of course that made me laugh, and now I have to say that now I have something to fall back on, right? If everything else fails, I can always be a breastfeeding counselor. So I mean, it's always nice to interpret for people like this that are so lively and that are so joyful, and of course that made me smile, and it just made my day a little lighter. So that is it for those two highlights. And the last highlight that I want to talk about, this is something that I believe is going to help a lot of you. Um, and First of all, let me start off by saying that yesterday I said that one of the things that I struggle with the most is staying awake sometimes. And I said that because that was I was on the spot, and that was like the first thing that came to my mind. But of course, I struggle with many, many more things, and I was going to talk about those things today. But we have a question, and I don't want this video to be really long, so I am going to talk about those things on the next session if I happen to not have anything to talk about. So yeah, let me tell you what I struggle with more the most. So I went into a session, and the doctor actually spoke Spanish, not the best Spanish I've ever heard in my life, but she was able to get by with the Spanish, and then she uh, the the client, no, not the client, damn, I had a brain fart. The patient, the patient asked the provider if they needed the interpreter because she was understanding the doctor's Spanish, and the patient spoke a little English because I got to speak to her with the nurse before the doctor. So the doctor went ahead and told her that even though her Spanish was not great, she was pretty sure that what they had to talk about did not need an interpreter, but they were required to keep me by law, and since she was not certified in Spanish, she just had me as a backup. And I said okay. I mean, well, I didn't really say okay. She didn't never ask me if I could just back up or anything, but I mean, if she needed me, if she needed me to stay because it was the law, then I stayed, right? I didn't even ask her, are you gonna use me or anything? I just stayed there, and they got by pretty quickly. And at the end, well, I just told her uh, for thank you for using my service, and they just laughed because of course the doctor didn't really use my service. But now I'm gonna talk about one of the things that I really struggle with. And one of the things that I really struggle with is actually like taking control of the session. And of course, you are not supposed to take control of the session. You're not supposed to dominate the session. It is the client who is going to let you know and should drive the conversation and the translation, or the interpretation, I should say, and all of that. So you are not supposed to do it, but there are times when you are not going to know what to do. Like, for example, when a person tells you that they speak English and they really don't, and I'm going to give you an example of that. Or another thing that happens to me a lot is when they say, "All right, interpreter, I'm going to need you to interpret just for the mother because the patient speaks Spanish, or the father, or whoever. And at those times, all of a sudden, the doctor just starts having a conversation with the patient, and then they forget you're even there. And you don't know what to do. You don't know if you should interpret what the patient is talking to the doctor about. You don't know if you should just keep quiet. You don't know, like, you don't know what to do, right? So the major thing that is my problem in this sense is that for some reason I just like to go with the flow. Like if the person, like for example in that example, if the doctor tells me I only need for you to interpret for the mother, then I interpret for the mother. And if I think the things are important, I ask the doctor, doctor, I'm sorry, do you want me to interpret this for the mother? And then the doctor will be like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead and interpret everything. Or the doctor will say, you know what, no, I don't think this is relevant. I can always ask the mother if I need something else. Or the doctor could just say, no, let me talk to the daughter, or let me talk to the patient, I should say. And right after that, I will just give you a summary of what we talked about, and then you can interpret that to whoever's here with the patient. And yeah, though that's cool and everything. But since I take that, um, since I make that choice that I actually go with the flow and just see and try to meet their needs whenever I see that they actually have an interpretation need, I've actually gotten called out from my own company because of that. And the thing that happened is that I was speaking to a patient. I was interpreting for a patient and for a doctor. But then the family member went in, and the family member spoke pretty good English, perfect English. They didn't even need my interpreter, and was speaking to the doctor. And I stayed there because I thought they would need the patient. They would need for me to interpret for the patient again, but it never happened. And they told me that I should have asked. As soon as I heard that the family member spoke English, what I should have done, according to my company, is that I should have told the doctor, I'm sorry, I can see that the family member of the patient is speaking really good English. Are you going to require my assistance? And they would have discussed it between themselves, and they would have given me an answer. And if the answer was yes, I was supposed to stay. If the answer was no, I had to get off the line, of course, because they didn't need me, and I didn't do that, and I got called out for it. They didn't do anything bad. They were scoring me my performance, so I got a low score because of that. But just on that thing, everything else was pretty good. It was just that one thing that I had the lowest thing on, and they were nice enough to let me know what I did wrong. And this is one of the things that that I struggle the most with. Like maybe it's my upbringing, or I don't know, but for some reason I don't like interrupting people. I really like to listen to them. And if I happen to find just a small moment where I can interrupt, or and just let them ask him what's going on, I do. But most of the time I don't, and I realize that this is a flaw that I have, and this is something that I really need to work on. And this is something that I don't even know where to begin with. I don't even know how to begin to actually get better at this. So if anybody's watching this and you can help me, I would really much appreciate that. Or if you can point me to like some good resources, I would really love that. And I am going to tell you one story of one time when this happened, and I felt very bad. I felt horrible. So it was this lady. I had to interpret for a lady and for a doctor. And then the lady, all of a sudden, whenever the doctor would be telling her everything, it was like the lady understood everything because she said she would be like, "Oh, okay, doctor. Yes, yes, okay," and with the English accent, like not a Spanish accent or anything. She was speaking English with a good accent, and everything the doctor said, she was, "Oh, yes, doctor. Of course. Yes, 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 yes," and everything, yes. And then all of a sudden, the doctor left and everything was good, and the doctor told me to wait. So I did wait, and right when the doctor left, the lady went over to me, and then she said, "Okay, now that the doctor left, can you please interpret everything that the doctor said because I didn't understand anything?" And of course, I looked at her, and then I told her, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. There was there was no way for me to interpret. When the doctor was talking, you were saying yes, and you were answering everything that the doctor was asking you, and it gave me the impression, and of course, it gave the doctor the impression that you were understanding everything. And I am sorry, I'm not able to speak to you unless there's a medical provider present because I could get in trouble." And the lady said, "Oh yeah, but it is your job to interpret, and you were not doing your job, and you never asked me." And of course, this hit me hard, man. Like, she just stabbed me right in the heart. And I said, "Well, yeah, she's right." Like, I thought that in my head. I mean, of course she's right. Because first of all, I never asked the doctor or the lady to if she was really understanding. Even if it seemed, I assumed, which you should never assume, and I've always talked about assuming in these sessions. But I assumed that the lady was speaking, and of course, it was like, to be honest, I think it was both of her faults, but it was more my fault because it was my session. It's my job to make sure that both parties are having a good communication, and I did not assure that. I just assumed that it was happening, but I did not make sure that it was happening. So, of course, when the lady said that, I automatically went from the victim to actually apologizing to her. And I told her, "You know what? You are right, and I am sorry. I should have confirmed that you were actually understanding." And I told her, "I'll tell you what. Whenever the person that is going to discharge you comes here, I'm going to let them know what happened, and I am going to make sure that I interpret everything that is said for you and that you understand everything before you leave." And the lady was pretty happy. And when I can't remember, well, when the provider, well, I don't remember if it was a nurse or someone, or who it was, most likely a nurse, that came in, I let her know the situation, and the nurse didn't say anything. She just went ahead and called the doctor, let her know, and then the doctor just explained everything to the nurse, and the nurse explained everything to me, and I explained everything to the patient, and that was that. But I felt very bad, and even though that happened, I did not learn my lesson, and I'm still not doing this. That's why I need help with that, and help me, guys, if you can. I really hope you guys can, because I don't know. I don't even know where to start, like I said. So yeah, um, so just doing this, not taking charge into what you should be interpreting, or that, like I said, is one of my biggest problems. And I believe that it is one of those things that you could really get in trouble. Like, I have not gotten like in some serious trouble for it, but I've been called out on it. So practice it as much as you can. I don't have any advice to give you on how to make it better because I'm struggling with this on my own. But I really hope that in the future I can actually make a video of telling you how I actually got over this problem. So that is pretty much for the highlights. And now I am going to answer one of our viewers' questions. And this question comes from Ella Sophia. And she asks about my background, this blue color right here. She actually asks if it's paint and what brand it is. And this is not paint, this is actually paper, seamless paper is called. And the brand is Savage Universal. You can go ahead and find this backdrop on savageuniversal.com /products/seamless dash paper, and they have a lot of colors, not just this blue. This blue right here, if I am not mistaken, happens to be 58 Studio Blue. I think with you, Ella, I think I shared an 85, but I'm pretty sure that's not the correct one. I'm pretty sure the correct one that I have back here is actually 58 Studio Blue. So, sorry about that, but now you know that it's 58 Studio Blue, and you already know the brand. And I am going to go ahead and give you a little pros and cons about this versus paint. And of course, one of the pros is that you don't need to repaint. All you have to do is just post it up, and there you go, instant blue wall. No drying, no brushes, or no anything that you will need for painting, like all the big hassle of actually painting. You just take this out of the box and you just post it up. Sounds easy, right? Another thing is that once you don't need it, you just tear it off your wall and you put it into the trash and you have your old wall back, right? No repainting, no nothing. And another thing is that if you just happen to get it dirty or something happens to it, you just rip it up and put a new one right up. And another thing is that you don't necessarily need to post it up on a wall. You can actually have something to prop it up and just to be like the size of your background, and you can actually move it around, maybe a tripod or something, or one of those special things that they have. I don't know the name of it. Um, so yeah, I mean, it has all of these functionalities, and I believe it is much easier than paint. And also, it's not that expensive either. Now I'm gonna go into the cons. The cons for this is that this particular one, I don't know if they have other ones smaller, and that's because the company actually gave me this piece of paper to put up, and it's that it comes in a huge roll, like 2 meter roll. So actually having to manipulate it, taking it out of the box, because it comes in a box, and then it's a little hard to manipulate, and then just cutting it to the right size and making sure it doesn't fold. It's it's tough. It's a little hard, but once you do it once, you get the hang of it, and um, it's tough, but it can be done, and it's easier than painting, that's for sure. And another thing is that if you're going to set it up on a wall like I have it, is that you're going to need two people to set it up. It's I tried it setting it up with one person, just me, because I had no one to help me at that time, and I actually got sweat marks all over it. So I had to tear it down, and I had to call my grandpa to come help me. My grandpa who just passed away. I really miss my grandpa. He used to help me out on everything. So yeah, it's gonna be two people now that to actually set it up. And another con is that if it's not properly fixed, this is going to fall off, and you need to fix it properly. And at the end of the video, I am going to show you how I have it set up. So just to give you some tips on that as well, because it's not that easy and it takes some trial and error, which I already have. And another thing is that if you just have a little bit of a stain, like wherever, like I'm not going to touch it, because if you touch it with your finger, it's going to leave a stain right there. So that's another con. And if you actually, like if I were to touch it right now, then I would have to change the whole piece of paper or just the area that I work with, because of course it's not going to look nice, it's not going to look professional. As opposed to a wall that you painted, if you get a stain on it, you can just paint over it, right? Or you can scrape it off and paint over it. So that's a con. And another con is once you're actually cutting it, and you have the size and everything, and you actually put it up, you have to make sure that there are no creases or no bends, because any little bend and it's there to stay. And of course, it doesn't look professional either. And that is going to be pretty much everything that I am going to say about this. I am going to now show you how it is that I actually have it set up here so it doesn't fall. And I think that's important because I learned by trial and error. I learned the hard way that um, I was putting it up with some nails, and then I put it up with some Velcro on the back, and some really special Velcro that is to put up things on the walls. And it didn't work. It kept on falling off. I tried using small nails. I tried using staples and all kinds of things. So none of those things work, and I am going to show you right now how I have it set up. So let me just release my phone from here, and so this is it. I am going to see if you can see it right now. Like, this is the bottom part right there. You can see how it's all set up. Another thing is that right now I am at my grandma's house, but my old house was the same. And if you can see, right here there's some holes from my chair banging on it, but it doesn't matter because that doesn't get on the video when I'm working. And this is it. I've actually put this duct tape on it because, like, you can see it up there, and you can see that it has one of those big things right there. And the reason why I do that, why I put duct tape on it, is because if you only put the nail on there, it'll rip it right off and then it'll fall. And the reason why I use this type of things, like the cable grips, it's because it provides like a bigger surface, and it has two things that it's actually holding on and not just a nail. And this provides, it makes it makes it a tougher surface, and it will not fall off. And I can tell you it will not fall off because if you can see right here, the air conditioning is actually just blowing right there, and you can see that that is not even moving at all. So it took me several trial and error things to actually go ahead and discover that, but now that I have it, I am glad I do. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that this house, you can see right here, that's actually Adobe. If you don't know what Adobe is, it's not the digital editors like we all know. It's actually like a brick made of mud, just regular mud. It's eco-friendly, and it's what they used in the past. This is a very old house, so that's why they have those type of walls. And if you know anything about construction, you know that those walls are not the best type of walls to actually fasten things on. It's a pretty long nail that I actually have driven through the wall. But it depends on the type of material that you have. You are going to have to look for the type of fasteners that you actually want to use. So that is going to be pretty much it for me today, guys. Please leave your questions in the comments, and I will answer some of them on the next session. Remember, I'll be here every Monday through Friday after work unless I don't work, and I have to let you know that tomorrow I will not be working. I have to do some things, and yeah, well, that will be pretty much it today. But you will have an unwind session from last month that I didn't publish on YouTube. So you guys will have that, and I'll be back on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video and have not done so for more content. And don't forget to share. Happy interpreting. Goodbye.